Hi, everybody. Welcome to Fearless with Mary. I am your host, Mary Tibbetts, and I am so excited that you are here with us today. On today's episode, I am sitting down with Sheila Stueck, business consultant for all things bookkeeping. So, grab a cup of coffee, get comfortable, and let's dive in. Hi, Sheila. Thank you so much for being on the show. Can I get you to tell everybody a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Okay, thank you so much for having me, Mary. So excited, especially because we're both Canadian. That's cool. I grew up in the prairies, actually, and I have my first stint was actually in biology. I have a biology diploma, and I got into working with vet clinics and so on. Then I actually did some traveling. Then I got my Bachelor of Commerce in University of Victoria in British Columbia here. In that, I went into hospitality to support my university days. So I have that, and I mentioned that because I was saying before we started, Mary, about my culmination of skills. So in that, I got working with teamwork and working with customer service, obviously. Then I got into bookkeeping and actually went into corporate accounting. So that took me into the realm of high-level, multi-million-dollar suits but what the glorious thing of that was that I was mentored by, that takes me into my career where it's at, because so many people in bookkeeping do not get that mentorship. I was mentored and championed actually by CFOs, by chartered accountants, so they were overseeing my work. But then I was feeling like the corporate world, that. So I actually then went into small business and found a happy place. But I would not have enjoyed it as much had I not had that training and experience in corporate. So once I was in small business, and I'm talking like mechanics, working for electricians and so on, and restaurants. So I did that for a while on my own, and then with a partnership. And then the last thing that I did before I left real bookkeeping was work with 2 or 3 places that were bookkeeping companies that provided bookkeeping work to many clients. So I might work on 3 or 4 clients a day. And that was fantastic also, because then I got full circle many, many different industries, hairdressers, and so I learned about inventory and about customer resource management programs and so on. So then after 20 years, I got on to Deloitte. Actually, they were hiring for an onboarder, and I didn't even know what that was, but it was coined for taking new businesses or businesses that wanted to up level and get into online bookkeeping and the apps and programs that go with that. So for instance, we have Dext, which is a document process system, which you can take a picture of your receipt, put it into the Dext, and then it goes over to. So I got trained on that. And WagePoint is a payroll program. So then my onboarding position was taking these new clients or clients that needed new systems, teach them the systems, put these systems in place, train them on the systems. Then after 2 years of that, COVID came and I got laid off, and I went back to small business and got in with the national firm that I'm working with out of Toronto. And they got me doing more of the onboarding, more of the training. In the meantime, I actually taught in both Alberta and British Columbia in college level. And of course, when you get in the college level instructing in bookkeeping, they go, "Oh, can you teach business communications?" And I go, "Okay." And what else? Business communications, bookkeeping, business writing, and economics. So I taught those 4 things in college. So then that brought me to, and I'm 65, so I was looking for a way to augment my retirement. So now I'm working part-time online for myself, doing what I was doing with the last company. So onboarding and training is where I'm at now, Mary.
And then, so is this your own company, the onboarding and training?
Yes, yeah. Well, I do it as my own side gig. I don't really have a company yet. Like that's
Yeah.
coming. Yeah, I certainly
Yeah.
will do that down the road.
It's
And
your
I'm still
side
doing
hustle?
part-time with my other. I'm working part-time as well. So
Okay.
where I'm
It's your
at.
side hustle.
Yes.
Yeah, everybody has a side hustle.
Well, you
It's
pretty
true.
much need it now, but we'll talk about this though too. Because to be honest, Mary, and I talked about this with my mentor, online mentor, I said, initially I just really wanted to fill out surveys. I was done, right? Like I didn't,
Yeah.
but then I actually fostered more and more this passion and want to do what I'm doing because I could see the need, I could see the results. So I thought I'm gonna do the entrepreneurial thing and carry on with it.
So then, okay, so if somebody was to call you, so it's a small business because you deal with small businesses, or you live, or
Small, medium.
small
Yeah, I certainly
medium.
wouldn't take
So if
on.
a small medium sized business came and said, okay, what services can you offer me to help me with my bookkeeping, and why should I use you? What would you tell them?
I would want to first do a consultation, which is what I say right off the bat. And where do you actually need some help? If your bookkeeping is good, you might need some help though in the bottlenecks of the systems. For instance, this receipt system I was just talking about. A lot of small entrepreneurs and solopreneurs think, oh, I don't need that. I'm just taking my receipts and I'm giving it to the bookkeeper. She's putting in manually, but then I show folks how much time, like that's 2 hours of your week that you could save, and you pay for the system. These are not high-end integrated systems. So I would look at that. But quite often what's happening is I look at their bookkeeping and they need some fix up in bookkeeping, but I don't do that. I highly recommend that they either take it out to somebody who can fix it for them. But what I want to do is train your bookkeeper and you to recognize why it's not good, why it's not finished, why there's errors. So it's two almost threefold, Mary, in that I would hope that the bookkeeping's okay, but if it's not, I look at how we can get it fixed and then go on and prevent further problems, have it always good, and then apps and programs, and then systems and processes. And when I talk about systems and processes, it might even be, we have a landscaper, and he has 2 or 3 trucks going out, but they have to come back to the shop to give the work orders. It's just, boggling. So we got a system where they can take a picture of the work order from their truck. It goes back to the shop. They don't have to go back to the shop. So that's where, and those things are getting more and more in my wheelhouse, in my stable of talent. And I'm actually have had my own seminars and help from some of these apps and programs that I'm now getting more up on. So that's what really differentiates me. Because
Yeah.
I'm not going to fix your bookkeeping. I'm not going to do your bookkeeping. And I have actually folks who I can send them to, right? Like other bookkeepers to fix. And to be honest, Mary, that, if I were just to keep doing bookkeeping, I could do that till the cows come home, but that doesn't help me scale,
Yeah.
right?
Well, it's the 10 times effect, right? Like, have you ever read the book 10 times is easier than 2 times by David
No,
Sullivan?
I'm
By
going to
Dan
add that to my
Sullivan?
library.
It so you can use it in life 100%, but it's definitely for the business owners, for the people out there that they can't understand why they're not moving forward. So that would be a 10 times shift, what you're saying. So it's harder to work double the time, to put double the effort in and do everything as hard as you possibly can with all of the time in your day. It's actually harder to do that than it is to get the right people in the right places to do the right things. So then you actually free up your time and you free up your energy to be able to look forward to do something else, right? So what you do as a company is you go in, and correct me if I'm wrong, you go in and you say, okay, these procedures is not actually, it's not good for you, because
It's not
so
effective.
you guys have to come back. You guys have to come back to drop off the tickets, right? So you're wasting gas, you're adding mileage, you're adding time for them to have to actually come back. So right there, you've already paid out an extra $200 that you didn't have to pay, and you're timesing that by 3. So that's $600 a day. So by doing the 10 times is easier than 2 times, you get the software, put it on your phone, they put it on their phone, they take the picture, the software might be $100 a month.
Yeah.
So it's the gap, right? So it's closing the gap on nonsense, really. Business
Well,
nonsense.
and it's not, and it's also the other side, and that's brilliant. Thank you. That's absolutely correct, Mary. And it's also, you got to look at the room for error, right? You know, if somebody's writing something down, or somebody ends up putting it on someone's desk and it falls off the desk, or so this is so compact and so efficient. It's just like, and it's happening. It's all over it. And it used to be, so you had to be bigger. You had to have these ERP systems or resource planning systems. But now you can literally do these things with your cell phone. And most workers, I mean, I remember a time when everybody did not have a cell phone, but now everybody has a cell phone. So that's the other thing is, so I call it integration automation. Where can we do that? Yeah.
Well, and I know even for me, so I use QuickBooks. I don't know if everybody knows, but I actually have a bookkeeping tab. I have for like a million. I'm a lady that wears all the hats.
What do you not do, girl?
Yeah. So and when I owned my flower shop, and even for the studio, I still have to do my books, right?
Yes,
so
yes,
I'm not
yes.
going to pay somebody to do it, because I literally know how to do it. So I use QuickBooks, and I know for me, it's awesome, because I can go into my bank account and I can actually just download. I hit one button and it actually downloads my whole entire bank statement, my Visa statement. It downloads everything. So then I just do the comparison on it. So then I can reconcile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can't miss, and
Mess it up.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and I do once or every 2 weeks I do a post on Instagram about, if you think you're too small, if you think you're too insignificant to make this, then probably, like, actually you're the one who needs it, because you're a one-person show. And as you said, Mary, delegate. Like, if you can get one person in your office to come in and just do the orders and just keep this part of it going, then you're not doing it. And
I know from experience, because I did it all, right? So every Wednesday, I would try and do every Wednesday so the shop that I owned, it was busy. Like, it was busy. I had 3 girls at the shop, plus myself. So on Wednesday, I would try and stay home so I could get caught up on my bookkeeping and get caught up on everything like that for like the previous week. The problem is with that is Wednesday would come around, but now I have a doctor's appointment, and then I have to get groceries, and then I have to do this, and this, because I'm a small business owner. I work 6 days a week. I only kind of get Sunday off, which actually wasn't a thing, because I had to do social media posts and plan what was happening for the next week, or sit at the computer and order a month in advance whatever I needed for Valentine's Day to make sure, and do all of my checks and do all of that. So Wednesday would come around, I wouldn't be able to do it. So delegating it out to somebody who actually works for you, and making sure that they have the right training and they know how to do it and they're set up for success in the long run, actually will save the company and you money, and it helps with not getting burnt out, with not falling behind, with not feeling like you have 25 million things to do, which is actually something I speak on a lot, and so do you, right? Like it's something, there's people to do that for you, especially in business, right? So as long as you recognize it and you're taking advantage of companies like yours that can come in and do it. Yeah, it might cost you however much money it costs you for you to come in and implement it, but in the long run, you're actually saving thousands of dollars by doing it.
It's so cost effective. That's one of my
Yeah.
big, the big letters is cost effective. And you're right, Mary. I mean, and I talk too about, just like you do, time away from your family. The headaches. There's a time in the year when I'm quite busy at my other job, because I work part time. But there's a time near tax time when it's a bit busy. So my husband goes, "Why are you walking around like this?" And so then you gotta, and I'm all about, oh yeah, do not make this harder. And quite often it compounds. You have one error, and then you have a customer that's disgruntled.
Yeah.
Then you have a customer that's telling other clients, and so the compounding effect is so expensive.
It is. And if there's somebody that works for you, or even if you wanted to hire it out, I'm not telling people to hire out bookkeepers, but if that's something that they need to do, then they should, 100%. But if you have somebody who works for you and let's say you come in and you show them how to do it, if they actually like doing bookkeeping, and I know this is going to sound so crazy, but so my best friend, one of my very best friends, she's actually my accountant as well. We actually ended up meeting at work because I was the controller, she was the accountant situation.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So years ago, like years. My favorite thing when I'm doing books is when everything hits zero. And I know that sounds so ridiculous, and people are like, okay, crazy lady. But when
Yeah,
it comes
that's a
across
real.
and it's all like reconciled, and it's one of these moments, like, yes, sort
It's
of
like
thing.
our bookkeeper, our number people, and I said it's like a puzzle, and
Yeah.
I always let folks know, because people say, oh, ask me about interest rates or something. I go, nope, nope, not a finance person, but a bookkeeping and accounting, because did you know that really it's based on three numbers, and it's grade 6 math, A plus B equals C, C minus A, B equals A. So yes, and I get that. It's like, oh, the final puzzle piece. It's
Yeah. So find somebody in your organization,
who
right,
loves
who
who
loves doing it, and give them the 3 hours, 4 hours at the end of the month to sit there and reconcile your bank statement and reconcile your Visa statements and make sure that everything's entered in. And then every morning or every Friday, or every Monday, however you want to set it up, however your company works, they go in and make sure everything's there, because you can pull the bank statement to make sure that everything is lining up. You can do it once a month. You're going to save so much time and so much energy and so much money by implementing that person doing it, as long as they have the right skills to be able to do it and the right apps and all of that stuff. And you can do it without them, but the apps and stuff actually make your life so much easier.
Yeah, it does. It does. And it impacts the whole, solidifies that it's correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as I said too, Mary, big part of my work and my drive and passion for it is empowering these bookkeepers, because
Yeah.
I have to say, yes, there's steps to take to make sure that your work is right and reconcile, and you can reconcile the bank and the credit card, but it's things like speaking of weddings, we had a an event person. So people were giving him $500 for wedding deposits, and or 50-year-old birthday parties, whatever. Then COVID came, so he had like, I don't know, $10,000 in deposits, and a lot of people canceled, so he had to give them back. But the bookkeeper was not up on how to do this, right? And was not doing well on how to do that. So, that's the other thing is you go along doing your regular stuff, and then you get hit with this. So, having folks either understand that they can't do it and get some help, but recognize that that's something, because what happened was I came along, that's exactly what happens, and I go, how could you say that you refunded all this, but it's still sitting here? What had happened, he had physically given them the money, but it didn't come technically out of the books. So it looked like he still owed all these people. So that, huge repercussions again, too, a compounding effect. Like I come in and go, well, you still owe all of this. No, I don't. I paid it. So, that's the second level of this, as you just said, Mary, as long as they understand. And there's, I don't want to get into, I always, when I teach accounting or bookkeeping, I say, make sure, one of the things is to cover your ass and know, are you a beginning bookkeeper? Are you intermediate? Or are you senior? Understand what is expected of you. And if you're asked to do something that's not in your level and pay grade, quite frankly, because I see that way too much too, is, now you can do this. And getting folks, particularly women, to say, no, I need some more training.
Yeah, I need to. Also, that this is where I come in. I'm very much about figuring it out, right?
Yeah.
So if you are intermediate or a beginner, and they come to you and they're like, well, I want you to do this. Like I'll give you an example. So I was a beginner bookkeeper. I'm talking like 20 years ago, like forever ago.
Yeah, but we probably started out the same, because I'm still doing it.
Yeah, like for 17 years ago. So I was a beginner bookkeeper. The one gentleman that I was doing books for, I remember Franz. Oh my God, I love Franz. I said, I don't know how to do that. And he's like, well, I'm going to pay for you to go to school. I was a contractor. I wasn't even like an employee. And he's like, well, I'll pay for you to go and take the courses to learn how to do it. And I was like, okay. So did that, everything. So then now I'm an intermediate one, right?
Yeah.
But then as time goes on, you learn how to do the things, all of the things. And as a woman, I also know I have to empower myself to do everything, because now, like, in December, I had somebody reach out to me. They were asking, it was a flower shop, and they were asking me if I would be interested in doing their books. And I said, well, yeah, I can. I'm like, it's $40 an hour with a minimum of 10 hours a month. So your starting rate is $400 a month. And then any hours after that, it's an extra 40. She didn't get back to me, but it doesn't actually hurt my feelings, because I know what I'm worth.
Yeah.
So these women, these employees, these women, these people, these women in business, when you get the training and you're confident in what you're doing and you know what you're worth, it actually doesn't bother you to say and to tell people what you're actually worth. So for me, like you coming in, teaching them how to do all of the bookkeeping, making sure that they are an expert level at what they're doing. So let's take it back. So let's say it's a business owner and they're a one-man show. I would want to be an expert in my bookkeeping. That being said, even if I farmed my bookkeeping out, I don't know about you, I would still want to be an expert in my bookkeeping to know what's happening, so I'm not having money stole from me, because I've seen that way too often in business.
Yeah.
Right? So this is where you would come in and teach them, okay, this, and this. So even if they're not doing their own bookkeeping, it would be ideal for them to have you come in to show them how the operating systems even work, right? So then they're empowering themselves to understand what's happening.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Power to that, Mary.
Yeah.
I have a period end checklist, and it's for business owners to go over with their bookkeepers to have the bookkeepers have it. But yeah, it's been a progression of, as you said, you're 17 years ago. I started this over 20 years ago. Yet my mom was a nurse. She's passed away now, but she told us that she remembers a time where you couldn't speak when to the doctors.
Yeah.
That's so we've come, along. But
Yeah.
I had another headline where I put, let's bring bookkeepers into the boardroom, because there's still and it doesn't help if you're not empowering yourself, as you said, Mary, and speaking up and standing confident. There's still a bit of that male, you know, brush off a little bit and not treat as, particularly women. I think guys in the same situation are not treated as such, but more like the help. So I'm huge on
I
that.
also think it's how you hold yourself.
You
1,000%. Because
yeah,
I can walk into a room and I'll tell you right now, they'll listen.
yeah,
I can actually get men to listen better than women, as a rule. Women, I feel like some women are scared of me. And I don't mean that, it's just because I also only speak when I know what the hell I'm talking about. So if you know what you're talking about and you have the confidence to go in and have the conversation, then you should. And if they don't want to listen, they're not the people you want to be in the room with. Male, female, it doesn't matter. I also always say there's two people that you talk to in a company, or two people that you talk to if you want to know what's actually going on. Receptionist, bookkeeper. At the hospital, nurse, ER nurse. Those are the two people that you talk to. You don't talk to the doctor.
yeah,
Because half the time they don't know what's going on. It's the nurse, the lab techs, the lab assistants. They know what's going on. In a company, you talk to the receptionist. They know where everybody is. They know who's doing what. They know who was late. They know everything. And you talk to the bookkeeper because they know where the money's going.
yeah.
Right?
Absolutely, you've got that, Mary. And so I think that that's a paradigm shift and a mindset shift. And you're
Yeah.
right. I mean, you walk into a room, and that's I'm going to send gals your way for sure to get it's a confidence. But I've seen where they can't be confident because they're almost, some folks get into a scary situation where they are bookkeeping or doing accounting, and they're kind of like, I hope this is right.
Yeah. Well,
I
and it's because knowledge is key, right? If you don't have the knowledge and you don't have the background and you aren't confident in your work,
Yeah,
then you better just keep your mouth shut until you know what you're talking about. 100%.
yeah. So
Yeah.
that's it's. I call it. I see it as an epidemic, and I find it so disappointing and disheartening to see still that. And so I love it. That's a big part of why I'm here, is to see that turnaround in confidence and standing up straight and showing them.
Well, because honestly, if you, I, if you know, you're especially with bookkeeping, it's actually really funny that I don't still do books, because I love doing bookkeeping, because numbers don't lie. This is the thing. Numbers do not lie. You cannot get around it. They do not lie. If you have something wrong, it will tell you that you have something wrong. You get what I'm saying?
Oh, absolutely, Mary. And
Yeah.
I know, and that's it's interesting when I went from it's project based, so you know you're done. Like you said, this goes
Yeah.
back to the finishing the puzzle, coming to zero. My sister just retired, and she's a journalist for the Globe and Mail, and she said I got so tired of feeling like I have done more? Could I have changed this wording? Could I have made this pop more? And I'm like, oh Lord.
Yeah.
I like get to, okay, I'm done. I'm gonna go walk the dog. I'm done. I'm gonna go do yoga as you were talking about with your
Yeah.
other. So yeah, I get the love of doing that or having that type of work.
Yeah. Cause it's just, but the thing is, I know my shit when it comes to
Yes.
bookkeeping. Like I actually I know my shit.
I could
So
put a trial
if
balance in front of you and you could,
yeah, and so what you're wanting to do is make it that people know their shit.
yeah.
So then when they go into the boardroom, whether it be because I'll tell you, I find men in a boardroom less scary than the women in the boardroom. I'm not gonna lie. I like women who are empowered and know their worth and business owners and they know what they want and they're getting it. They are super intimidating, right? Like it's hard to have a conversation with somebody like that, especially if you have to break news to them that something isn't working number wise for them. But when
Oh
you
my
have the
goodness.
knowledge, right? When you have the knowledge, so you come in, you teach them how to do the bookkeeping, or you teach them how to do everything, you've given them the knowledge, you're actually empowering these bookkeepers and these business owners and whomever to go in to the offices and be like, this is what's happening. And then if the person they're explaining it to comes back and says, well, no, they get to throw the piece of paper on the desk and say, well, yes, because
Yeah,
this
yes.
is this is
No,
it.
oh, Mary, that's so true. When I teach bookkeeping, I said, I want to tell you how many times I've been told that can't be right. We have more money than that.
Well, no, you don't, because you
Actually,
went to the mountains for a weekend and used the business account as your personal bank account.
you must have made a mistake. We have more money than that. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. So absolutely, and there's a handful of gals in this. Like, there's badass bookkeeper and workflow queen. I'm just like, oh, yes, they're
Yeah.
empowered ladies and can be intimidating, I think, if they were in a boardroom.
Yeah.
Um, and we don't want to make it, like I'm going to show these guys and go in and
No, 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 not at
but
all.
it's more like and I don't have to tell you too, Mary, that I say to a lot of business owners, I said, how much, look what you're getting charged by your accountant versus your bookkeeper for the amount of hours that they put in. And sure, it's higher level work, but then what are they doing with that? They're having what, a 20-minute conversation with you, and and if you're not able to ask questions because you don't know what questions to ask, and then you put it away for the next year, and then the same things happen, the same mistakes happen, the same incongruencies happen, and then they go to the accountant and fix it. So that's a big one for me as well, is stop the cycle.
You know what though? That's 100% valid and true because so my last bookkeeping client who is going to till he dies, I will be his bookkeeping client because he refuses to go anywhere else, which is fine. Whatever, I'll do it. So I do his books. I deal with the accountant. And she always says, thank you so much for making it so clean. And he says, thank you so much because you saved me $1,000. Because if the accountants have to clean it up at the end of the year because it's an absolute disaster, you're going to get charged for it. So pay the extra little bit to have somebody come in and teach it, to have the proper programs in place and have everything there. Because in the long run, you're going to save the money even at the end of the year for tax season.
And it's going to be more, it's just going to be better done, because the accountant isn't going to go in and say, oh, I wonder why there's $3,000 in this supplies when it should go over here. I'm just going to move it anyway,
Yeah.
and don't really talk about it. So yeah, that's a big one.
Right? Yes, because when you get all of the adjustments at the end of the year, like I have it down, they had 4 adjustments for the company that I do books for. They had 4. And the one I actually called her, I'm like, that shouldn't actually be an adjustment. It's right. And she was like,
So, right. So Mary's talking about the year-end adjustments that the accountant has the bookkeeper do, and if it's under 5, then that's pretty darn good, because those are usually what the book accountant has to do for depreciation and so on.
yeah,
So if they're more than that, that means that they're fixing errors. Yeah.
a lot of errors. Like I would say 10 and under, you're good.
Yeah.
Depending on the size of the company too, right?
Yeah.
Because the bigger the company, obviously, like human error, it happens.
Or they just want to reclass something, or
Yeah.
But if you're starting to get up into the 30s, or they don't even give you adjusting entries, they just fix it, and who knows how that affects your taxes, right? And down the road, if you get audited. I mean, the other thing I say on my post, I said, that letter you sign, business owner, that says, from your accountant, that says, we trust that everything that you're giving us is basically correct. So they take off the table that they're responsible for much.
For anything, really. Yes, but for not very much. That's for sure.
Yeah. So, and I've seen that. I said in one of my posts, I said, I have seen many, many instances where a big multi-million-dollar business owner turns this small.
Yeah.
It's hard to watch.
Yeah.
I've been in the room with an auditor, and they become speechless.
Yeah.
So, it's unpleasant, and there's no need for it, so we can start here, start with me, and get up. So
yeah, 100%. I'm so happy you came on.
Well, this has been such a joy.
I can talk bookkeeping and accounting all day. I can and politics. Listen, I can do like a boss. I won't. I don't want to get canceled. So,
well, especially Alberta with the oil and gas and what Trump wants to do, and yeah.
We won't get into it.
No, I don't. I absolutely not. No.
Yeah. So, but anything to do with bookkeeping and.
Well, and as we said before the call, Mary, I mean, a lot of this too is, and I often put in, I speak about women. I'm not disparaging men at all. In fact, I have several male followers who are bookkeepers. So awesome. But a part of, bringing into what you do is, again, going back to this empowerment and confidence and not being small. Like, rise up. And so I think, and I, as I said before the call, I was binge watching you and listening to you, and so many things just came to light for in my work, my own work as well. I mean, my mentor said the other day, he said, well, why do you keep saying, like, not putting apps and programs for everything, that you often say apps and programs for bookkeeping and administration? And I said, well, I don't know about this other app. And he says, put it all, like, you could do it. You can do it. You can learn it. Like, if, for instance, there's this new one called Scribe and Jobber, 2 ones that came up that people are using in companies. So I'm going to go, yes. I'm going to go.
I love Jobber.
Do you?
Yeah.
So I can learn that and just say, now I've got, anyway. So, but I want to reiterate this to folks listening. Don't be surprised if you spend time with me, that you start believing in yourself more than ever before, and remind you of your worth. Push your dream bigger than, what is it? Through your, more than you thought possible. That's from Mary.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. So I took that to heart. I'm going to keep it.
Yeah, you can use it. I'll let you. Go ahead. It's a thing.
No,
I
I'm going to say
actually,
no, 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 no. I'm going to say this is from Mary. Here's Mary's link, and yeah.
well, thank you. I appreciate, actually, it's funny because, so I've had a business coach for going on 2 years, I would say. Best investment I ever made. Hands
Mm,
down. She was best investment I've ever made in myself. Because, you get to know them. And then it ends up being like, well, there's been a couple where
yeah, some personal.
yeah, she gets on there and she's like, how's it going? I'm like, oh my God, listen to what happened. And she's like, oh, so are we doing business or personal today? I'm like, ah. Right? So it just, so I 100% think that when you're stuck, when you have stuff going on, when you're not sure what to do, get a coach. Whether it be bookkeeping, whether it be a life coach, whether it be empowerment, whatever it is, get a coach. They can help you because you don't always need a counselor. Sometimes you just need a push. It's very
Yeah,
different.
that's good.
Yeah.
And it's the whole thing. If you're not whole and believing in yourself and well, then your relationships, with your husband and honestly, I have a 24-year-old who just went off traveling, and I see more and more how I relate in my life to in my work and in my relationships with my siblings and my husband, how it affects her. Not
Yes.
I'm not like she's going, oh mom, you make that, but just I can see that she's taking notes.
They
And
do. They
they
do take
do.
notes.
It's
I have a
huge.
23-year-old
Okay.
and 18-year-old, but I have boys. So it's a little bit different. But they do take note. They
Sure.
do.
And I
They're
know that.
actually two of my biggest fans. My husband's my biggest fan.
I know, and I saw that. So that's
Yeah.
and I'm not to say anything about we could go into to raising child on your own or whatever. Those it's all whatever as long as there's love and health there. But gosh, I see that, and I see that in your posts and your life and the 50-year-old your husband's 50-year birthday. So that's so nice to see, Mary.
Well, and you want to know something? A lot of people don't know this. So, my oldest. So I was a single mom for 5 years.
Oh,
Yeah. So, but well, not really. We met when he was a year old. But yeah. So I know all the single mom stuff too. I've been down that road. That's why I say to people, you need to figure it out for you. Right? Like you can't people I can't even remember who said it. I don't know who said it. I can never remember the quote and I can't remember how it's supposed to be said. But you were literally put on this earth to take care of one human, and that one human is you. And nobody ever takes care of that one human. So everybody needs to just stop, reevaluate, and start taking care of the one human you were put on the earth to take care of. And your life gets so full and abundant once you start doing it, it's not even funny.
yeah, that's so fantastic. And I know you've had your medical issues and so on. So keep it up, Mary. That's inspirational and
Yeah.
amazing.
It's great. Well, anyway, so I'm so happy that you came on today because we're gonna just digress into a whole bunch of other stuff.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on today. I'm really excited for everybody to listen to this, especially because tax season is coming. It's a thing. It's coming.
Yeah, and or new businesses, and
Yeah.
entrepreneurship, and even if you're, as I said, a one man or one person uh, online where you don't even have a brick or mortar, you still
Yeah.
need those kind of systems. So very,
Still need it.
very, very honored, Mary. Thank you.
Oh no, my pleasure.
And we'll keep up. We'll
Yes,
meet
we
again.
sure will.
Okay.
Thank you for joining me on Fearless with Mary. I hope today's episode inspired you to take bold steps towards living a life that's unapologetically yours. Remember, the journey to thriving begins with one fearless decision at a time. If you loved what you heard, make sure you subscribe, leave a review, and share this podcast with someone who needs a little fearless inspiration today. Stay ambitious, stay fearless, and I'll see you next time.